And here we go. It is NHL 18 Franchise Mode Calgary Flames. This is episode 26. Welcome back. We are in the midst of the summer of 2019. And in fact, it is actually July 1st, Canada Day here in 2019, and we are set to enter the free agency period with the Calgary Flames in our second full season with the Calgary Flames as the GM here. Obviously, 2 episodes ago, we lost the Stanley Cup there at the hands of the Tampa Bay Lightning on our home ice in Game 7 by 1 goal. So if you did miss that episode, that was episode number 24, the Stanley Cup Finals. Obviously, like I said, we made it within 1 goal of the Stanley Cup. So here we are in the summer just after. We just went through the re-signing phase and the draft in episode number 25, and now here we go, episode 26. We are set to start the offseason. We're entering our 3rd full season or 3rd season in general, I should say, as the GM of the Calgary Flames. We've got a lot of work to do as we want to get ourselves back to being a Stanley Cup Finals contender. We want to obviously make it back to the finals after losing the Stanley Cup by just 1 goal. Obviously, we want to win the Stanley Cup if we can, so we are in the middle of trying to construct a Stanley Cup caliber team, and that is not easy with the cap situation. So if you missed episode 25, just a quick recap. We did make a couple signings. We did do the draft. The draft wasn't too big. I think we had about five draft picks in the 2019 entry draft. We didn't pick till about the 3rd round, but yeah, we just auto draft that. But then we went to the re-signing phase, and the biggest thing is we locked up 3 players, but the biggest player, obviously, was Matthew Tkachuk. He was due for a new contract. We locked him up to 7 years for $6.6 million per season. A pretty decent contract there for the Calgary Flames. Considering this is a guy that's already 87 at 21 years of age, medium elite potential. He's a consistent 50 to 60 point guy. He's a consistent 20 to 30 goal scorer every season. And we got him for under what Johnny Gaudreau and Mark Giordano is making. And that is, I think they're making about 6.75. We got him for 6.6 for 7 more years. So, 6.75 there for Gaudreau and Giordano. So, a pretty decent contract for the Calgary Flames. I didn't think it was going to be that easy. He only wanted 3 years as well. We locked him up to 7, so that was pretty good for us. Other moves that we made there in episode 25 is we did sign Andrew Mangiapane. We brought him back for 1 year at $925K, and then Rasmus Andersson, we brought him back for 2 more years at $1.175. Like I said in the other episode, I believe Anderson is ready to step into top 4 minutes. He played top 6 minutes for us all of last season. He is a 76. I do expect that to go up a little bit, but I could see him playing in top 4 minutes with TJ Brody on that second pairing. That might even allow us to make Travis Hamonic expendable in the next season, but we're not going to do anything to our blue line this offseason because, I'll get to it in a second. We've got a plan here of what we're going to do, but we've got a lot of work here in this episode to get there. So, but Rasmus Andersson, he's staying around. I hope he works himself into the top 4. Other than that, that was the only 3 signings we made. We tendered a bunch of guys to qualifying offers, including Sam Bennett, who is an 84 overall. I should go back in here and show you guys. He's an 84 overall, but he is in pending RFA, but he is also, low elite. So let's go into here. There we go. There's Sam Bennett, so you can see him right here. So there he is, 84 overall, low elite. If you've been watching the previous episodes, you know that he played all of last season, or most of last season, on our top line with Johnny Gaudreau and John Tavares. That line was lights out all season long, especially with Sam Bennett. Once he got moved up there, he was really, really good for us on that top line. He is listed as a second line forward, but he played really well on that top line, and he was really good in the playoffs too for us as well. Came up clutch for us in quite a few games. Like I said, he probably played better than an 84 playing with Gaudreau and Tavares, but you can see there in the playoffs he had 4 goals and 6 assists, but you can see his contract is expiring. What I was trying to say is he is 23 years of age. He is low elite, so that's the problem here. Yes, he's still going to grow, but that potential is low. Just because he's elite doesn't mean he'll get there. We don't know if his 84 will go up. It will likely will, but by how much? So we have some decisions to make. believe we tried to offer, or we did try and offer him a contract there in episode 25. He was asking for, I believe, about $5 million per season. And we did not do that because, well, one, we wanted to give ourselves options, but two, we were a little bit hesitant. So either way is we did qualify him, or we did tender him. So we do have his rights here to offer him a contract on July 1. If another team wanted to offer him a contract, we could match it, and we would probably get a draft pick, I believe, back if they did get him. But I'm going to get to him in a second as well, because like I said, I spent some time looking over our options here. I mapped out our lines and looked over our options in free agency and trades of what we're going to do as a plan here in this off season. So yeah, so we tendered him, and we tendered a few other players as well. No big players, just AHL players. Cedric Parquet was one of them. He is factored right now. He's penciled in as our fourth line center, but we do have to sign him as well. I think he was asking for over $1 million, and that's why I didn't sign him, is because, well, one, we didn't have the cap, but two, I don't want to pay him that much. But you can see down there in the bottom there, our salary cap space is $5 million exactly, 5.01. So we really don't have a lot of money to work with, considering we got to lock up Sam Bennett for about that if we do get Bennett. But we've got some other options here. So I guess I should get right to it, because it's going to be hard to explain it if I don't explain our off-season plan. So you'll remember 1 year ago in, I forget what episode it was, but last year in free agency, our big move was getting this guy locked up, John Tavares. We signed him to a mega contract, something stupid like, I forget how many years, 7 years at $10.5 million per season. So we did, that was pretty much our one and only, but a massive off season for us last year when we brought in John Tavares. This season, I think it's going to be just as big. We're not bringing in that huge name, not as big as John Tavares, but we've got some options out there, and we've got some pretty big potential to make some pretty big trades here. So here's how it shapes out. Like I said, I just did the lines, so I'll quickly, again, I can't show them to you on the screen because I've penciled them down here. We obviously can't look at our lines on this menu, so I'll just quickly tell them to you. So here's our top line. Johnny Gaudreau, 89. John Tavares, 91. Right now, Sam Bennett, 84, but he's a pending RFA. So that's that's an option right there. We'll get back to that in a second. Second line looks like this. Matthew Tkachuk at 87. Sean Monahan, 88. James Neal, 84. So that line doesn't change at all from last year. Chris Versteeg on the third line at 79. Mark Jankowski, 79. Michael Frolik, 82. That's your third line. The fourth line looks like this. Dmitry Yaskins at 78. Cedric Parquet, who is a pending RFA, at 77. Andrew Mangiapane at 77. And then we also have Derek Roy, who is a 77, as our 13th forward. So of those forwards, only 11 of them are locked up. We still have Bennett and Parquet to lock up if we want to pencil them in. So technically, we don't even have a full lineup as of right now. But we will have some changes. Like I said, we have an option there at basically the only thing that's not in stone right now is our top line right wing spot, which Sam Bennett occupies, and our fourth line center spot. But worst comes to worst, if we don't bring back Cedric Parquet, Derek Roy can step in there. He is the same as Parquet. I think he might be doing that, but I would love to bring back, I would love to get some depth forwards out here. We did lose guys like Curtis Lazar, and then I think we released a couple of guys in the re-signing phase there as well. So we're coming in with less forwards, than we did last season. So we got obviously, and we'll do that a little later. We'll look at what depth options are out there. Blue line. When it comes to the blue line, it looks like this: Mark Giordano, 86. Dougie Hamilton, 89. TJ Brody, 86. Travis Hamonic, 83. And then your bottom pairing has Slater Cuckoo at 78 and Rasmus Anderson at 76. We have two more defensemen as our 7th and 8th defenseman. That's Joe Morrow at 75 and Brett Kulak at 77. So we have options there. We have basically 4 pairings. We only need 3 pairings, obviously, but I'll get to Joe Morrow in a second. But I don't think we're going to change our blue line. Like I said, I like it right now. We have a pretty solid top 4. Like I said, I think Rasmus Anderson can factor into that top 4. And then we'll go from there. We'll go from there, but. To start Slater Cuckoo and Rasmus Anderson on the third pairing. That's not bad for us, so I guess I should have been showing you guys this. So there's our defenseman. You can see Yusuf Alimak, our top prospect, is still a 72. 20 years of age. I'm kind of disappointed because I thought Valimaki, who was our first-round pick in 2017. I thought he would be ready by now to step into the NHL by this upcoming season. He's already spent how many seasons in juniors? I think he was in our AHL the last couple seasons, so he's actually been pro for the last 2 seasons. So I was really kind of disappointed. I was hoping he'd be NHL ready. He is not. He's still 72. That's pretty far away from being NHL ready, unless he takes like a massive jump. He's not NHL ready. So, I like our blue line. I don't think we're going to touch our blue line. One, we don't have the cap space to add any more defensemen. I would obviously like to add another big defenseman, but we can't do that because of the cap. I think what we'll do is we'll go into the season with this blue line, and then come mid-season, if Rasmus Andersson is excelling and can jump into a top 4 spot, we will try and trade Travis Hamonic because his salary is 3.8, so he's almost making $4 million per season. He only has 1 year left, but if we can shed that 3.8 and maybe bring in a piece we need at the deadline, that could be huge. Only 83, so not really worth 3.8 per season anymore. But right now we need Travis Hamonic to fill in that top 4 spot because Rasmus Andersson is not just yet ready to jump in. So that's how our forwards blue line looks. Goaltending, it looks like this. We did release Mike Smith. You'll remember if you watched that last episode, they listed Mike Smith at something crazy like 89 overall. He is not an 89 overall. He was an 82 for us all of last season. So I don't know why at 37 years of age they're listing him at an 89. But we will not. We didn't bring him back because I didn't want to take the risk. 2, he was asking for like 5 point some million per season, and he's 37 years of age. So even if he does start the season as an 89, I guarantee that drops a lot closer to an 82 as the season goes on. So I don't know why they're starting him at an 89. He's clearly not an 89, but that is what it is. So anyways, we got rid of Mike Smith. We still have Craig Anderson, who we brought in from Ottawa at the trade deadline. He's an 85. Our backup right now is Tyler Parsons. We only have 3 goalies in the system right now. We don't have a lot, so we obviously have to bring in some AHL goaltenders anyway, but we'll get to that in a second, to the goaltending in a second. But right now it's Craig Anderson at 85 and Tyler Parsons at 79. He's very close to being NHL ready, but still another full season away. I don't want to play him as our backup because I want to continue to grow him in the AHL if we keep him. And I'm going to say if here in a second because we're going to get to it. So that's our starting lineup. I know you can't visually see it, but I can in front of me. And the holes that we're missing right now is top line right wing spot that Sam Bennett could potentially come back in. 4th line center spot that Cedric Parquet could potentially come back in. Depth would be nice to add. Nothing on the blue line. And when it comes to goaltending, that's going to be an interesting one. So let's start with that right now. Goaltending. So let's go into free agency. So we have Craig Anderson, who's an 85. Tyler Parsons, I want to keep in the AHL. So we need another goalie. Now, 85 is not that good. When we went and got Craig Anderson at the trade deadline, he was an 87. He's dropped to an 85. So I went to goalies here in the free agency, and you can see Mike Smith is here at 89. But again, I don't want to bring him back. He's asking for $6 million per season for another 5 years. That's the crazy thing. Nobody's going to give him 5 years for $6 point some million, even if he was an 89, because he's 37 years of age. But look who is number 1 here. Cam Talbot, the former Edmonton Oilers goalie, 90 overall. He wants 4 years at 6.8. So I was like, So I looked at him. He's 31 years of age. That's not bad. I would definitely give this guy what he wants, which is 4 years at 6.8. 6.8 is a lot to pay per season, but he is a 90 overall. Now, he's not, he's obviously exact elite, so he's not getting better. But if we could have Cam Talbot at 90 for the next 4 years, I'm sure that might drop down to like 89 or 88 at the worst in those 4 years. But probably in the next 2 seasons for sure, he's probably going to stay a 90. I mean, that is as good as it gets. These guys don't hit the market often. I can't believe there's a goalie that good on the market. Obviously, it wouldn't cost us anything to get him besides paying him his contract. So I wouldn't mind going after him and trying to bring in Cam Talbot because we need an upgrade over Craig Anderson. I know Anderson took us to the Stanley Cup Finals last year, but that was as an 87. He's already dropped to an 85, and he's getting old. I have a feeling that Anderson, like Smith, will probably drop off the season even more, and I'm just afraid Craig Anderson will drop from an 85 down to like an 83, just like Mike Smith was, and then we'll be in the same position we were 1 season ago at trade deadline, looking for that number 1 goalie to carry us to the Cup. So why not just get that number 1 goalie now? I mean, we have the opportunity to. The only other thing besides, you can see there, there's nobody else on the list. Steve Mason, Mike Smith, we're not going to go those guys. So Cam Talbot. The only other thing is, I thought about, like I talked about the last few episodes, is can we try bringing in Andrei Vasilevsky? Because we know the Tampa Bay Lightning have two goaltenders, two number one goaltenders. So I didn't only just go to Tampa Bay, but I went to every other team in the NHL, and I looked at what goalies were available, and there really wasn't any goalies like that teams were wanting to give away. There was goalies, like like I said, you could go Henrik Lundqvist in New York. You could go after some older guys like that. You could even go after, I'm just trying to think of some options here. Ben Bishop, I think, was available. Like, wasn't available, but his trade value was low. But those are older guys. The only team that actually wanted to give away a goalie, it wasn't Vegas, who at one point wanted to give away Marc-Andre Fleury. He's still in 85. They want to keep him. The only team that wanted to give away a goalie was the Tampa Bay Lightning. But, where's Tampa Bay? Where are we, Tampa? But it's not Andrei Vasilevsky, like we had thought. So it was Andrei Vasilevsky in the offseason, or it wasn't. They didn't want to get rid of him. But I thought they would want to get rid of Andrei Vasilevsky because he was one worse than John Gibson. They actually want to get rid of John Gibson, the guy they just brought in that carried them to a Stanley Cup, the reigning Conn Smythe Trophy winner that just beat us in the finals to win the Stanley Cup. They actually want to get rid of him. They went at trade deadline, and they sold the farm to bring this guy in at trade deadline. For what reason, again? I don't know. It didn't make sense. They already had Andrei Vasilevsky, but nevertheless, they went to Anaheim, got John Gibson, gave him all the minutes. He went and carried them to a Stanley Cup championship. Now they want to ship him out because they want to stick with Andrei Vasilevsky, who's now an 89 and 24 years of age. So he's 1 year younger, one more than John Gibson in terms of overall, but in the offseason, I keep saying offseason, at trade deadline, Andrei Vasilevsky's trade value was half of what it is now. So look at what it is now. It's exactly the same as John Gibson's. At trade deadline, it was half of that. So that's exactly why at trade deadline, I didn't want to wait till now. If I could have tried to get Vasilevsky then, I wanted to, because his trade value was so low for being an 89 at 24 years of age with medium elite potential. But now the crazy twist in all this is not only has his trade value gone up, not only is he probably the better goalie, but now they want to get rid of John Gibson, who just carried them to a championship. Gibson, 25 years of age, medium elite, 88 overall. Like, we talk about Cam Talbot being 90. Gibson will be 90 by the time he plateaus in another 2 seasons. So he definitely will reach 90. So they actually want to trade him. Like I said, there was actually no other team in the NHL that wanted to trade a starting goalie. Tampa's the only team that wants to trade away a starting goalie, and it makes sense because they have 2 of them, like we said. We knew they were going to want to get rid of one of these guys because you can't go into the season with 2 starting goalies. Now, contract-wise, $7.69 million per season, so that is a lot to pay for John Gibson. He only has 2 years left on his contract at 7.6. So you saw what Cam Talbot was asking for, a 6 point something, and Gibson is asking for, or isn't asking, he's locked up already for 7.6 for another 2 seasons. So we have options. I think what we're going to do is go after either Gibson or Talbot, one of the 2. The problem is we can't move forward in terms of days until we make that decision, because if it's going to be Cam Talbot, we have to put in an offer now. We can't risk waiting 2-3 days into free agency because he could have been claimed or already have signed a contract with another team. So we have to get our offer in for Talbot if we want Talbot. If we want Gibson, we got to make the trade now. So we have to decide that, and that's going to be a tough one. I think we'll try John Gibson first because he is younger. He's 5 years younger. He will probably get to 90. Yes, he has $1 million more on his contract than what Cam Talbot's asking for, but I think we'll try John Gibson. He's proven he can win a Stanley Cup, just carried his team there. I think we'll try him. That's a pretty hefty trade value. And now we'll get to Tyler Parsons. Like I said, if we keep Tyler Parsons, only way this trade goes through is if we trade Tyler Parsons. They want Tyler Parsons. His trade value is probably half of what John Gibson's is, so we could give them Tyler Parsons. They want him again. They want to get rid of Gibson. This would be good, but we still have to make up the rest of that trade value. But Parsons is our biggest chip in terms of value. Like I said, we would have to give him up. We have no choice. I've really tried as hard as I can this whole time to keep Parsons in the system because I don't want to get rid of him, but we would have to. We have no other choice. So if we want to get Gibson, so I think we will do that. And then the other thing, so that's goaltending. The other thing though is now we got to address that top line right wing spot. We have $5 million on the table right now. Obviously, we're going to go after either Gibson or Talbot. We need more money, and I'll get to that in a second. But when it comes to our second biggest focus here in the offseason, besides goaltending, is that top line right wing spot. So now when we go here to the free agency, you can see there's Sam Bennett. He's listed there, but he is an RFA. So we do have there's another team interested, but we do have or we will likely be able to sign him before the other team. So we can bring him back. You can see what he's asking for. He wants 2 years at $5.2 million. So he wants a bridge contract, but he wants to be making $5.2 million. So we can bring him back. Like I said, we already looked at him. Low elite, 84. We take that risk and bring back Sam Bennett and hope he grows and stays good on that top line. Or we have other options here. I like Mitch Marner, obviously, but he's also an RFA, so I don't want to pay the draft pick that Toronto will need if we offered him a contract. But there is also, I like to obviously Max Pacioretty, but we're not going to pay Max Pacioretty, 7.2. But we also have options here. We have a Terry Panarin, and Blake Wheeler. So two guys right here who are 87 and 86 respectively. They would be an upgrade over Bennett in terms of overall. Yes, they're asking for about $1 million more than what Sam Bennett's asking for. In fact, Panarin's asking for almost $2 million more than what Bennett's asking for. But they would they would be like legitimate. They are listed as first line forwards. They are legitimate first line forwards. Blake Wheeler, makes the most sense because he's a natural right winger. I mean, we know how good this guy is. First liner, 32 years of age. He wants 5 years at $6 million. I could do that because, again, we're contending for a cup, so I would do that, and obviously risk losing Sam Bennett, but we have options there. Either way, though, is we need $5 to $6 to $7 million for a forward, and we need about $7 to $8 million for a goalie. So you can see that's where we're running into a bit of trouble. We have $5 million almost exactly in cap space right now. We have to free up cap space. So before we can even start either our goaltending or our top line right wing spot, we need to free up some cap space. So we are going to have to make some trades here. And so I was looking at our roster again, and I looked at our top paid players. Obviously, we can't get rid of any of these guys. These guys are the guys that we need to help win a Stanley Cup. Michael Furley, $4.3 million. Third liner. We have no choice. We have to get rid of his 4.3. 82 overall. Obviously this is going to hurt our depth. What it will allow, again, if you look at that third line that has Versteeg 79, Jankowski 79, and Frolik 82. If we take Frolik off there, it will allow us to bring up Andrew Mangiapane, who is a 77. So obviously that is a bit of a downgrade from Frolik, at least to start. But don't forget, Andrew Mangiapane with some time, hopefully as the season goes on, can grow into exactly what Frolik is now. So he's got high top 9 potential. I mean, I'm confident that he can go from a 77 to an 82 as the season goes on. Maybe he won't hit 82 exactly, but he could probably get pretty close to what Frolik is. So if we played him on the third line there with Jankowski and Versteeg. So that wouldn't be too bad. Again, I would like more depth, but at this point, it's just not going to happen. It's either we keep depth, which is Frolik, or go after a top-line right winger and a goaltender. So we really have to come down to making choices. It's not easy. We're trying to win a Stanley Cup now. So that's the problem. But yeah, we're going to have to get rid of Michael Frolik's contract. His 4.2 million, 4.3 million will definitely free up a lot. 4.3 million will help us a lot. So we'll put him out there. We got to get rid of him. The other guy down here is Joe Morrow. So like I said, we'll come back to Morrow. We are now. Like I said, when it comes to defense, we have Giordano, Hamilton, Brody Hamnick, Cuckoo, and Anderson. So Morrow and Anderson was our third pairing all of last season. But you can see here, Morrow's dropped to a 75, and Slater Cuckoo is a 78, and Slater Cuckoo is 1 year younger. So not that that matters too much, but he's that much better than Joe Morrow. So why not give Slater Cuckoo they're making the exact same pretty much on their contracts too. So why not give Cuckoo and Anderson the third pairing? And then we also have Brett Kulak, who's a 77. So he is actually even better than Morrill. So really, when you look at all of our defensemen, Morrill is actually our worst defenseman out of all of them. Like I would even pencil Kulak, over Morrill as the 7th defenseman if the season started right now. So I don't know why Morrill's overall went down, but bottom line is it did. He's now a 75 at 26 years of age. He's not growing anymore at 26 years of age. You'll see that top 6 medium probably go to exact top 6, and he'll stay at a 75. So he's making 1.15. We can get rid of him. Like I said, we have Slater Cuckoo and Rasmus Anderson on our third pairing, and we got Brett Kulak as a 7th defenseman. So that makes Joe Morrill expendable. We can get rid of his 1.15 and Michael Frolik's 4.3. That's going to be huge for us in the cap situation if we can get rid of that. Now, the only other thing we can do to free up cap space is get rid of Craig Anderson if we end up getting one of those goalies, which I think we will. Craig Anderson's making $3.8 million per season, almost $4. The only thing is I wouldn't mind Anderson as a really solid backup. But again, at 3.8, we might have no choice but to get rid of him. So first things first is let's get rid of Frolik and Morrill, and let's go from there. So you can see we have to look for teams that are interested in Frolik. I don't think any teams are interested in Morrill, but we'll just chip him in. So we got to look for teams that are interested in Frolik that are not going to be over the cap. Because we're not bringing any salary back in this trade. I'm trading Frolik and Morrill for draft picks. So we don't bring back any salary. We're trying to get rid of salary. So you can see Minnesota, Montreal, interested, but again, over the cap. Nashville, they are interested in Frolik. They're not over the cap. We can make this work. So let's go Frolik and Joe Morrill, and I want to bring back, again, I don't want to bring back any skaters. I want to bring back draft picks, and they're actually interested in giving away picks. So can we get a third for, so we can easily get a third for Frolik and Morrill. Can we get a second for Frolik and Morrill? We probably could. We can. Wow. You know what? Let's start with the first. Let's go high. Let's see if they will give us a first for Frolik and Morrill. That's pretty close. I don't think it's going to go through, but let's try it. So we need to get rid of cap. Let's do this. A first for Frolik and Morrill. They don't want to do that. Met their block needs, but the value isn't at all where it needs to be. So I don't think we're going to get a first. But we easily could get a second and probably a third. So could we go a second? Because I don't think they don't want to give away. They don't want to give away futures, so we can't go a second and a second. They want to give away this next year's draft. So a second and a third. That looks really even. In fact, that looks a little bit in their favor. Frolik and Morrill for a second and a third. Will it go through? It will. So that is huge. It's considered a done deal. So that is big for us. I'm just going to pencil that in right now. Frolik and Joe Morrill for a second and a third. That's huge because we can also, the big thing about that second and the third is that we can use it as trade chips as the season goes on and as the off season goes on. So I'm just going to write that down right now. July 1st, we got Michael Frolik and Joe Morrill for a second and a third. So that's a pretty good trade for us. So that's good. That freed up some cap space, as you can see. Excuse me, I had to take a drink. That freed up some cap space. We now are working with 8.6 million. So we could now bring in either a right winger or a goaltender right now. Geez, I think we're gonna have to trade Anderson away. Unfortunately, I think that's the only way it's gonna work. Just trying to think here. So, we got to start making offers here because I can't even sim forward until we make offers in free agency. So, should we try? You know what? Let's try John Gibson right now. Let's try John Gibson because we'll know. If we get Gibson, then we'll trade away Anderson for sure. As much as I would like to keep Anderson as a backup, we just can't at his salary. But let's try him. If we do not get John Gibson, then we know we're going after Cam Talbot in free agency. So let's go right to Tampa Bay. And let's see if we can pull off one of what would probably be the biggest trade of the offseason in the NHL. Massive blockbuster for the guy that just won the Conn Smythe and carried his team to a Stanley Cup championship. John frickin' Gibson, 25 years of age, medium elite, 88 already. I mean, that would be huge. You can see here, We have to get rid of Tyler Parsons. Like I said, I really wanted to grill this guy as long as we could, but the fact is he's still only 21 years of age, and he's still growing. He's going to be an incredible goalie in this league, but we just can't wait any longer. I've tried growing him now for 2 more seasons, and we just can't wait. Unfortunately, he's such a good goalie in the AHL. He has such good potential, but we just can't wait for this guy. We have to get a guy that's ready to help us win the Stanley Cup now, because we have to win now. So we have to get rid of Parsons for Gibson. Again, we're going to obviously have to work on making this trade go through. So what skaters are matching their block here? We can't really take a shot anymore at our depth. We just lost Frolik. Our depth is really, really thin as it is. So we can't really do any, I can't get rid of any of our depth players. We're going to have to put draft picks in here as well to make the trade go through. They do not want Craig Anderson, so that's the problem. If they wanted Craig Anderson, I could put Anderson and Parsons in a trade, and that would work. So, but they don't even, I mean, we could try putting Anderson in there, see if they'll take Anderson. I highly doubt it, though. So let's go to draft picks. They don't want any draft picks, but we're going to have to try and put in our first to try and help make it go through. So this is not going to go through, but I'll try it anyway. A first Anderson and Parsons for Gibson, and it is accepted. Wow. Okay, so that is huge. I did not think that was going to go through, but they have taken Tyler Parsons, Craig Anderson, and a first-round pick for John Gibson. So they wanted to get rid of John Gibson. That's the reason this went through. So, okay, so how about starting off episode 26 with massive blockbuster trades, like 2 trades in a row. The first one wasn't really a blockbuster, but the second one, Jesus Christ, that's a blockbuster trade. So, wow, we just got rid of, like, holy jeez, we just got rid of some lot of cap, and obviously our entire goaltending we just gutted and redid with John Gibson. But now we know we don't have to go after Talbot, and we only have 4.6 to work with. Shit. Okay. Yeah. So I think we'll be bringing back Sam Bennett because we just don't have much work. But we did get John Gibson. That's huge. Okay. Yeah. So I was not planning things to go this way, but they are. So we will go to. Like we can't shed any more salary anywhere. Like this is the problem. We just have. Gibson's making so much, 7.6, but I wonder if we should have went after Talbot. No, Gibson is going to be a good one. He's a young, up-and-coming goalie. That will be good for us. I mean, we can try and get rid of Yaskins 1.3. He is playing on our 4th line right now. But again, we can slot Derek Roy in on our 4th line if we bring back Cedric Parquet. We're really up against the cap. This is not good. But we need to find a way to bring back either Bennett or one of those other players. So a lot of teams obviously want Yaskins, so let's just pick a random team here to give Yaskins to. Columbus, sure. Eastern Conference team. What can we get back? We have to get draft picks back. Can we get another second back for Yaskins? No, it's not going to be a second. Can we get a 3rd round pick for Dmitry Yaskins? And we easily can. Can we probably get a 4th with that as well? We're just wheeling and dealing here on July 1. So we could probably go a 3rd and a 4th. No? Probably not. So let's just try going. Take that off. Why is that not going off? And now the menu's freezing. So this is perfect. Let's try exiting and going back in. Stupid menu. But yeah, we're just wheeling and dealing here to start episode 26. But we have to. Like, when you're trying to retool your team to win a Stanley Cup, I mean, it's not easy at all. You know, working against the cap space. The cap is insane. So where's Dmitry Yaskins? Where did you go, Yaskins? And I hate getting rid of these guys like that helped us get to a Stanley Cup final 1 year ago. But we have no choice. Like if we want to bring in the pieces that we need. So again, let's go draft picks. We were asking for a 3rd for Dmitry Yaskins. So that should go through as is. So let's go like that. Rejected, really. It's not where it needs to be, really. I think it would be. But again, I guess a 4th line player, they don't want to give away a 3rd. So how about we try a 4th? 4th for Dmitry Yaskins, and that will work. So Dmitry Yaskins goes to Columbus for a 4th round pick. That's not too bad. So we are just wheeling out our cap. So now, let's get ourselves a free agency. We have our goalie. We don't have to go after Cam Talbot. We just need a right winger. And we have 4.9 to work with. Oh my god. So this is not good. Bennett wants 5. He wants 5.25 now. So this is not good. Did he go up? Did like he go? Oh, we gotta go to forwards here. Pacioretty, yeah, 7. There's 5 teams in on Wheeler, so we probably wouldn't get Wheeler anyway. We would definitely have to put that up, but we need about another $1 million here if we wanted to go after Bennett or even Wheeler. Definitely Panarin's far out of reach. I wouldn't mind Wheeler. Like, I mean, 6 million. He wants 6.25. But I know there's 5 teams in on him, but I really want Wheeler. He's a natural right winger. He could help our team win now, 86 overall. This is exactly what we need playing with Tavares and Gaudreau. But we need another $1 million. Like we're at 5 million pretty much, 4.94. So we need another $1 million somehow. And I don't know who else we can trade away. Like, we just freed up so much cap space. The problem is we brought in John Gibson, who, if we went after Cam Talbot, we could have saved ourselves $1 million. But I'm not complaining. I like John Gibson, but this is not good. So I'm just looking here. Like we got rid of Frolik, we got rid of Yaskins, we got rid of Morrow. I don't know where else we're gonna free up some cap space here from. Not good. So let's go back here to trades, and let's just look again. Do we have anybody that we can free up some cap space with without hurting our depth even more than we already are? I can't get rid of guys like Versteeg because, I mean, we need them. Those are depth guys for us. Cuckoo. Like Shinkarik we can get rid of. He's making exactly $1 million. Let's try getting rid of Hunter Shinkarik. Let's find another team to trade Shinkarik to. Who wants him? Columbus wants him again. So I don't know why we didn't just try giving away Shinkarik and Yaskins at the same time. But let's see if we can. We just took their 4th. Will they give us a 3rd for Shinkarik? Probably. Like, they'll probably give us a 3rd. And these are all going to be trade chips. We're not using this many draft picks next year. We don't need them. We're going to try and use them as trade chips. So, Shinkarik for a 3rd. Will that go through? Rejected. You know what? Let's try a different team because I want to try and get a 4th maybe. So we'll try Detroit to see if they will give us... they won't give us a 3rd, but they'll see if they'll give us a 4th for Hunter Shinkarik. So let's try getting another 4th back, and that will work. So, Yaskins to Columbus for a 4th, and Shinkarik to Detroit for a 4th. So we pick up a multiple 4th round picks, but the main thing is we're dumping salary. Left, right, and center. We are dumping salary. So we should have now... how do we not have... We just traded away a guy that had... he probably had an AHL contract. Like, are you kidding me, though? Like, we should have the cap space now to... this is just not good. He had $1 million on his contract. I mean, it's good we got rid of him anyway because we wouldn't have been able to use him in the NHL. But oh man, I hate this. This is stupid. Shit. So I mean, that didn't really work. We don't have any cap space. Like, Jesus Christ. And we have nobody else we can get rid of. Like, I mean, everybody else that has cap on, like, we need all these guys. We need all these guys to win a Stanley Cup. We don't have any other options here. Like, I can't get rid of Spencer Fu. Like, I don't even know how we're gonna get Cedric Parquet done. We might have a very weak 4th line to start the season. Oh, it's not good. Like, see, this is why we need to trade Travis Hamonic. The only problem is I'm not comfortable with going with Brody Anderson to start and Cuckoo Kulak. I mean, worst comes to worst, we could, but is Rasmus Anderson going to take that jump? We could do that. Like, that would hurt our defense, but we could potentially do that. So again, let's go, let's just take a look here at our defense. So here's our top pairing: Hamilton, Giordano, Brody, Hamonic. Here is Slater, Cuckoo, and there's Rasmus Anderson. Cuckoo's not that far behind from Hamonic, and Anderson isn't either. I mean, we could go in with Giordano, Brody, Hamilton, Cuckoo, Kulak, and Anderson as our top 6 to start, and get rid of Hamonic, who's an 83. I mean, we need that depth, though. That's the problem. Ugh, this is not good. if we could find a defenseman that has like no cap on him, that is like top six. I think we'll do that. I think we will try and find another defenseman either way that's making less than $1 million. That's about an 80 because we have so many trade chips now with all those draft picks. We could definitely make that happen. Oh, this would really destabilize our defense a bit, but we do have a much better goalie now in John Gibson, who's in 88. Will likely grow this season as the like if we play him, which we will all the time, he'll likely grow to an 89, 90 as the season goes on. I mean, maybe we can take the risk at weakening our defense a little bit by getting rid of Travis Hamonic and relying a little bit more on Gibson, who is in 88, like I said. Shit. Wow. Let's try it. Let's try getting rid of Travis Hamonic. Take his 3.8. We would be able to sign a right winger and probably still go out and sign another defenseman. It won't be as good as Hamonic, but maybe we can get like a guy like 80, 81, which really is only 2 less than what Hamonic is. So you know what? Let's do it. Let's trade Travis frickin' Hamonic. We are just making all sorts of blockbusters here. Buffalo could take Travis Hamonic. Can we get back some draft picks? Excuse me. We might even be able to replenish our first round pick here. Let's see. No, we're not going to. Not Buffalo's first, at least. Let's try another team. Team that's not over cap, Detroit. But I don't think we'll get there first either. No. Oops, I didn't want to exit it. But yeah, let's try putting Hamonic in for a first. If we could replenish our first that we gave away in the John Gibson trade, that would be huge. I don't know if we can, but if not, we can probably get a second and something back. So not Detroit, let's try, like, maybe LA, because the pick isn't as high. Oops, let's go draft picks here. So could we try a first for them? They don't want to give it away anyway, cancel. I meant to go like this. Minnesota, you're over the cap. New Jersey's not over the cap. Could we make a first work? They don't want to get rid of their first. Islanders, could we send Hamonic back to the Islanders? No, they don't want to get rid of their first. Sens, could we try Ottawa? Nope. So I think it's going to have to be for a second from one of those other teams. San Jose. A divisional opponent, though I don't really want to go divisional opponent. St. Louis wants to get rid of their first, and their first is actually not as high. Let's try St. Louis. Hamonic to St. Louis for a first. Come on. There we go. That is huge. Travis Hamonic goes for a first-round pick to the St. Louis Blues. We now have just free up tons of salary, and we should be able to bring in a defenseman. So here we go. We've just completely retooled our team. Excuse me. I hope we didn't too much. I hope we didn't we got rid of a lot of guys. We got rid of Yaskins and Furleek and Hamonic, like a lot of guys that were on our team last year. Joe Morrow, that Craig Anderson, that will not be coming back with us, but I think we're getting better. I hope we're getting better. So now we have $8 million in cap space. We can take a shot at Blake Wheeler, but there's 5 other teams wanting him as well. I just think Wheeler's too better than Sam Bennett. We just don't know if Bennett's going to get any higher than an 84 with low elite. Like, I mean, we would be taking a risk if we brought back Sam Bennett at low elite. I just don't think we can take that risk. So I think we try. I mean, we could even go after a Terry Panarin, but he's a left winger, and he's exact elite as well. And Blake Wheeler is a right winger. So there's only really one difference between the two of them, and I think we're better to bring in the natural right winger. So let's try offering Blake Wheeler a contract. He could help us win a Stanley Cup now. Let's try, obviously there's 5 teams interested in him. Worst comes to worst here. Here's the thing. If we don't get Blake Wheeler, we still have Sam Bennett, who is tendered as an RFA. We still get Sam Bennett at the end of the day if we don't get Wheeler. So worst comes to worst, we still get Bennett. So let's take a shot at Blake Wheeler now that we have the money to do it. We're obviously going to have to sweeten the deal just a little bit. Just trying to think here. Kachuk's getting 6.6. Let's try 6.3. He's asking for 6.2. But there's 5 teams in on him. Let's try 6.4. I don't want to go too much higher than that. We'll try offering him $6.4 million for the 3 years that he wants. You know what? Let's go 6.5. That will get it done. If it doesn't get done at 6.5, then it's not going to get done. That's a lot of money for Blake Wheeler, but he can help us win. He is a scoring winger. He would be solidified on that top line with Gaudreau and Tavares. That would be 2 massive lethal lines if we get that going. Again, we'll be a top-heavy team once again, but that's just going to be the way it is. So Blake Wheeler, let's offer him a contract. Worst comes to worst, again, we get Sam Bennett. Just before we sim here, I know this episode's, what's this episode time at? So yeah, we're going kind of long here. I know we took a lot of time there to decide what we were going to do, but we'll get through the main part of free agency in this episode anyway. So before we go forward here, I just want to see what we have for options for a defenseman to replace Travis Hamonic, or at least somewhat replace. So I'm looking for a guy like this, like Braden Coburn. 3.5 though. We're not going to get him we're not going to get him because he's asking for 3.5. I'm looking to pay like Dan Girardi money, but he's asking for he's only a 79. Jesus Christ. Not a good defensive market. So what we might end up doing is trading for a defenseman. With all those draft picks that we accumulated as chips, we might use some of them, even if we have to get rid of that first round pick again. I don't want to pick in the first round this year because I want to be back in the Stanley Cup Finals, winning a Stanley Cup. So I don't care if we have a first round pick that we traded away to Gibson, then we got a first round pick back in the Hamonic deal. But I will deal that first round pick again if it means getting a defenseman. So I'll do that in, I think, the next video, because I'm going to go through every single team and look at what teams have defensemen that are good but on a low contract that we could bring in. So even if it's a veteran guy, I just want to bring in a defenseman that's going to stabilize our defensive core now that we got rid of Hamonic, but on a lower contract. So I'm going to have to do a lot of sifting through the different teams, but we'll do that in the next episode because that takes up way too much time. So let's move forward here then. We have made an offer. We have to see if we get Blake Wheeler, because if not, we're going to go back and bring back Sam Bennett. So let's try going up 2 days here in free agency. And let's see. Well, we just got to go until we know if Wheeler's coming to Calgary. So we offered him 6.5 for 3 years. Let's just keep going here. We don't want any other free agency. So Sam Bennett, 6 days remaining. Oh fuck! So we need to has been tendered to an offer. Oh no, Philly's tendered them. Okay, so Sam Bennett has been tendered an offer sheet, 6.5 for 2 years by the Philly. Holy shit! They're offering him $6 million per season. You have the necessary salary cap to match this offer and retain his services should you wish to do so. Given the salary they have submitted, you will receive 2 draft picks if they do get him, which is a first and a third. So remind me in 6 days. So how long do we have to match this? We don't have to match it right now. Like we could take the picks, we can match the offer. You know what? Remind me in 6 days. As long as we got at least 6 days, we should know by then if Wheeler's coming to Calgary. So let's just keep going here. So Blake Wheeler is coming to the Calgary Flames. Okay, so he's decided to accept our offer. So now we can let Philadelphia claim Sam Bennett and get a first and a second back for Sam Bennett. And now we have 2 first-round picks that we could easily acquire in a trade. This is pretty good. And yeah, Bennett wants $6 million. I'm not paying an 84 low elite player $6 million per season. So we have brought in Blake Wheeler. Our top line, is looking really good now with Blake Wheeler. So where is Sam Bennett here? Is he not even on there? RFAs. They're not even listing him here. Probably because Philadelphia's made that claim for him. But we still have time. Well, we didn't even choose that we were going to match it or take the picks, so shouldn't matter. We have 6 days though, or I guess however many days remaining. So and we can't trade Bennett, right? We can't trade his rights. No, because Philadelphia wants him. Let's go like this. Yeah, so he's still listed on our team. Okay. I guess we could technically trade Sam Bennett. There's an option. We could trade Sam Bennett. I know Philadelphia wants him, but, I mean, we could trade his rights away. We probably wouldn't get a lot for his rights, but we could probably... Could we trade him to Philadelphia for his rights? No, but I want the draft picks back. I'd rather... Yeah, Philadelphia doesn't want to trade for his rights. They just want to sign him. That might be we might get better value back for Bennett if we just let Philadelphia claim him, and they give us the first and the second. So that is huge. That is huge. When a player's an RFA and you have the option to tender them, that's why you do it. Because, I mean, look at this. Like, we get a first and a second for a guy that we don't even need anymore. We would have just let him walk anyway. If he was a UFA, he would have just walked, and that would be it. But we brought in Blake Wheeler. So, let's sim up to those 6 days, excuse me, and then we'll stop this episode because it's gone pretty long, and then we'll finish the rest of the offseason. We have made a lot of massive moves in the first 6 days of July. Trades left, right, and center, bringing in Gibson, Wheeler. We have made a lot of moves. So let's go up to where they were going to remind us about Sam Bennett, excuse me. Still not reminding us, eh? There we go. Okay, so we now have to make the thing, so we can take the picks. So yeah, we couldn't even match it now because we don't have the cap space to match his contract. So we will take the first. Oh, it's a first and a third. Sorry, I thought it was a first and a second. But still, we will take the first and a third. The Philadelphia Flyers have signed Sam Bennett to a 2-year, $6 million contract per. 2 years for Sam Bennett. I'm happy for Sam Bennett. He gets a good fresh start in Philadelphia. They're taking the shot at him as a low elite, and we get a first and a third back, which we are going to flip for trades. Like, we have so many assets now to make trades with. We have so many draft picks that we can get value back in. So let's take the picks there. Sam Bennett is a member of the Philadelphia Flyers. Blake Wheeler is a member of the Calgary Flames, as is John Gibson, and we have a whale of amount of picks to work with here. So I'm happy. I'm kind of happy the way things worked out. We still have about $2 million in contract space. We have lots of room to sign players in terms of contract, but we are going to try and look for a defenseman in the offseason. But look at these trade chips that we have now when it comes to draft picks. 2 first-round picks right here, 2 second-round picks, 2 third-round picks, in fact, 3 third-round picks. My God, 2 fourth-round picks. Like, we are absolutely stacked with draft picks in the 2020 draft. Again, for a team that projects to win the Stanley Cup, we obviously don't need all these draft picks, so we are going to be able to use these as chips to get some players, especially these first and seconds. They're going to get us some good players. These depth picks, if we keep all 3 of the third picks and the 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So we keep our 3 third-round picks and our 3 fourth-round picks. Those could be steals in the up-and-coming draft. Then the way the new draft is. So I'm happy with keeping those depth picks, and I'll get rid of all the seconds, the 2 seconds, and the 2 firsts. We have so many picks. I don't even know what to do. But we will end this episode here because it's gone on quite a bit. We have made a massive splash in the first, 7, 8, 9 days of 10 days of July. From July 1 to July 10, the Calgary Flames have just gone out and just retooled their contending team, if you will. And obviously made a lot of big trades. So it started down here. We've made all the trades. So you can see there, it started with trading away Frolik and Morrow for a second-round pick and a third-round pick from Nashville. Then we traded for John Gibson. We got John Gibson for Tyler Parsons, Craig Anderson, and a first-round pick, our first-round pick in 2020. And then we traded away Dmitry Yaskins to Columbus for a 4th-round pick. We traded away Hunter Shinkaruk to Detroit for a 4th-round pick. We traded Travis Hamonic to the St. Louis Blues for a 1st-round pick. And then we went out and signed Blake Wheeler to a 3-year, $6.5 million contract. Where is he down there? Oops, up there. Blake Wheeler. And then Philadelphia claimed Sam Bennett from us and got him on a 2-year deal. And we got a 1st-round pick and a 3rd-round pick back from Philadelphia. And yeah, so that's how the first 10 days went for the Calgary Flames. Not bad if you ask me. Again, I hope these moves are the right moves. When you're this close to winning a Stanley Cup, it's either you do one thing or you do the other, and you've got a 50-50 chance of it being the right move. So we could have not have went after John Gibson. We could have kept Craig Anderson. We could have went and re-signed Sam Bennett, kept Michael Furley, kept Travis Hamonic, and try to win a Stanley Cup with the exact roster we have. Or we took some different shots. We took a shot at our defensive core. We made them a little bit weaker by losing Hamonic, but we gained a much better goalie and getting an upgrade over Craig Anderson and John Gibson. We took a shot at our depth by getting rid of Michael Frolik, but again, we have we made our top 6 that much better with getting Blake Wheeler. So we're going to be a much top heavier offense than we already were, and our defense is slightly weaker, but I'm going to try and strengthen that with a trade. We made our goaltending stronger. So, I mean, it's just, it's when you're this close, you're just making those little tweaks and hoping that they're the right tweaks, and that's exactly what I did. I'm hoping these were the right moves. We made quite a bit of them, but I hope they are the right moves to get us back to the Stanley Cup Finals and back to a Stanley Cup. So I'm excited. That was a pretty intense first 10 days there. Like I said, this episode's gone on pretty long. Even though we only simmed through 10 days, we did a lot of work in those 10 days there, as you can see by all the transactions. So let's see if these are the right moves. When we come back in episode 27, we are going to finish free agency. We'll get right into training camp and to probably the preseason, obviously, as it shouldn't take us much longer now that we've made our big moves here in free agency. But again, I want to look in episode 27 for a defenseman, possibly a top 6 defenseman that can play in our top 6, possibly a veteran that is going to be cheap. So I'm going to try and go through all the teams, look for that, and then hopefully also look for some depth forwards. We obviously need to make a decision on Cedric Parquet, who is still a pending RFA. We obviously have to replace Mangiapane's going to replace Furley, so we have to find somebody to replace that fourth line spot that Furley would be in, and we have to also replace Dmitry Yaskins. So right now we actually don't have a fourth line at all, because Parquet is also a pending RFA. So we got to do some work on our fourth line, bring in a bunch of players on minor contracts, and then we got to look at a defenseman. So a lot of work to do. Oh, and a backup goalie. So we actually still have a lot of work, but they're all minor moves. Like, they're all going to be minor players that we should be able to get under $1 million. Like, every player. Our backup goalie, I want under $1 million if possible. The defenseman probably won't come under $1 million, and the forwards will have to come. I know we don't have a lot of cap to work with, but we'll see what we can do in episode 27 to complete our free agency period and get ourselves into training camp and the preseason. So, yes, it's going to be very exciting. Stay tuned for episode 27. That was a pretty hectic episode 26 in free agency.